Hey guys, welcome to another video, and welcome to a video that is going to help you explore the Somme in 2 days. It's going to help you get the best. If you've got 2 days to go and explore the Somme battlefields, where should you be going? Where do you want to see? Well, hopefully this video is going to help you. Now, what I will say is this is going to cover kind of day 2. If you haven't already seen my other video, I've done a video called the Somme in a day, and that is actually going to be day 1 of the 2-day trip that I would recommend. So if you do have 2 days to go and explore the Somme and you haven't seen that video yet, I recommend you go and see that one, then come back and watch this one. So first of all, a couple of little tips and tricks. If you're going to be spending the night, if you've done my day 1 video, you've explored the Somme and you're spending the night, there's lots of different options that you've got. If you are more of a hotel person, there's a couple of hotels down in Albert. The Ibis is always a fairly good kind of budgeted price. There's lots of restaurants in Albert. There is a restaurant in the Ibis Hotel actually, but I think they close that on like a Friday and Saturday night. The restaurant, I mean, not the hotel. There's lots of other food options in Albert itself. There's a lovely Italian restaurant that I've been to myself down near the square, and a few other restaurants. There's even a McDonald's there, so you can get whatever kind of food you would like on your night when you stay over. The next morning, we're going to be ready to head out for day 2 on the Somme. Now, if you have stayed in Albert, we're not going to be going far because we're going to go down to the Somme 1916 museum that is in the centre of Albert. You can walk down there depending on where you're staying, or you can drive your car down there. You can park just nearby it. And this is going to be the first part of our 2nd day on the Somme. I really recommend doing this. They've got some fascinating things in there. You can walk around, you can have a look at some of the stories of the things that happened on the Somme. You'll see some information there about some of the places you've already seen on your day 1 trip, and I think that's quite a nice way to do it, to see some of the places, then come here and see some of the artifacts from those places and from those battles. Take a wander around here. You might want a couple of hours, you might want to have a look around, explore, take your time. Then after you come out of the museum, maybe get yourself a coffee before you get in the car, and we're going to head out to our first stop over at Delville Wood. So Delville Wood's probably about a 10-minute drive from Albert. It's not too far. You're going to head over there. They've got a nice little car park you can park up. They've also got a little visitor centre here. There's toilets you can use. You can buy some snacks and stuff. And then you're going to head out and you're going to explore Delville Wood. Now, this is a fascinating site, Delville Wood. It is a place that has been very well preserved. I mean, you can still see the remains of trench lines here. You can see shell holes and craters here. And they also have some really interesting markers that tells you a little bit about what went on here. Now, as you walk into the front gates of Delville Wood, you can't help but notice the South African flag. That's because you are approaching the South African Memorial here. Delville Wood is an area that has been preserved by the South Africans because this is a place where the South Africans went into the fight for the first time in the Battle of the Somme, and they suffered some terrible, terrible casualties here. If you head off into the woods, off towards the left, and walk right over as far as kind of the fence line, you will see a marker that tells you the place where the South Africans moved into these woods. At the time, they were moving beyond the British front line. They were sent forward to capture these woods, which they did successfully. The problem was then is they were surrounded on 3 sides by the Germans. The Germans heavily bombed this area, put artillery down on this area, and sent countless counterattacks back into the woods. This became a hellish place for the South African soldiers here. Had terrible, terrible casualties. And I've made a video to tell you the full story of this site, which I really recommend checking out. You can walk down back towards the monument and you can see the last tree. It's got a little fence around it, and it's believed to be the only tree that remains in this wood that survived from the Great War. A tree that, if it could talk, saw all of this incredible stuff going on around it, and it still stands there today. I recommend taking the time to have a little look in the museum that's there within the memorial. Really interesting to have an explore around there and see a couple of the bits that they've got in there that tells you about some of the South African history. Not just here at the Somme, they do a couple of other bits in there as well. Then you can walk out through between the 2 walls that have got all the names of the South African soldiers who lost their lives. This isn't a memorial to the missing. These are names of all the soldiers who were killed. Unlike Thiepval, which we saw yesterday, The names here aren't just men who are missing, these are all the men who were killed. Some of these do have known graves. And as you walk back out towards the entrance of Delverwood, just on the other side of the road there is the cemetery. And I recommend taking a bit of time to explore this. Here you will see the graves of men from pretty much every country around the British Empire at the time, around the various different countries of the Commonwealth. A lot of graves here that you can explore before you get back in your car, and we're going to drive over towards Mermetswood. Now with this one for your sat-nav specifically, you're going to be aiming for the 38th Division Welsh Memorial. I think it's literally called the Welsh Dragon or the Red Dragon if you're looking at it on Google Maps. You can park your car right by here and you're going to walk up the steps onto the hill where you will see the impressive monument of the Red Dragon, the Welsh Memorial that sits here on the hill. Now the dragon on the memorial here is looking out across the field towards the woods, and I recommend you do the same. As you do that, you are looking at the piece of land that the Welsh soldiers here attacked across, directly towards those woods. They launched an attack straight into the front line of those woods here, where German troops were set up in a strong defensive position, and there were some awful Welsh casualties here. I also recommend you walk the ground, so head back down the steps, walk across the field into the edge of the woods. When you do that, you will see there are Welsh flags and little monuments and things that people have placed there in memory of their relatives or family members, or even just fellow countrymen who lost their lives here during the Battle of the Somme. It really is an interesting place to walk and explore. Be careful as you cross the field, because that is farmland, but there is kind of a piece where you can sort of walk across to the woods that doesn't involve you treading on anyone's crops or anything like that. So just take care as you walk across. After you've explored here, we're going to head back to the car and we're going to head back over towards Thiepval, just near the Thiepval Memorial that we went to yesterday, and we're going to head to the Ulster Tower. Now, en route, I'm going to take you on a slightly different route in the car. I recommend that you drive up towards kind of Courcelette and then down the main road through Pozières. It's a really interesting route to come, and here you are crossing over what was the German front line across no man's land and back into behind the British front line again. And as you do that, you will pass the Pozières Cemetery and Memorial. And I recommend you take some time. You can stop here again. You can park right outside and go and explore this one. The cemetery here is quite unique because it is surrounded by a large wall, which is the memorial. That is the Pozières Memorial, which has the names of missing men all over that, all over the walls around the cemetery. Take the time here to explore the cemetery. It's a moving cemetery, one that's really interesting to see, and one which, with this slight detour, you can kind of come round, stop here, and then head from here over towards the Ulster Tower. So when you park up, you've got a couple of options here. You can park up outside the actual Ulster Tower itself, or you can park up on the side outside the Connaught Cemetery. You're going to visit both these sites whilst you're here. First of all, though, I recommend heading up towards the Ulster Tower itself and taking a look here. This is a memorial to the 36th Ulster Division and the men of the Ulster Divisions who attacked here during the Battle of the Somme. Now, they do a really interesting tour from here. I think they do it a couple of times a day. I believe they do it at 11 AM and 3 PM. So probably where we are now, it might be that you have to hang around a bit to catch that 3 PM tour. But I've tried to do this in an order that kind of works on the timing for that for you, hopefully. They also sell some snacks and hot drinks, teas and coffees and stuff in there as well, so you can get yourself a bit of fuel. But they do some really interesting tour here. They will take you out towards the front, talk to you about what the Ulstermen did here and how they attacked. They'll tell you the story of the incredible Victoria Crosses that were won here on the first day of the Somme. There are actually 4 Victoria Crosses won here just in this section of the Somme battlefield. And they'll also take you down past the Connaught Cemetery into Thiepval Wood, where you can see some of the recreated trenches that sit there. Now, I say recreated, they have been redug out and recreated, but they are the original trenches that were there. They're in the same place, it's the same layout, and as the guys will tell you on the tour, they've done those really, really carefully to get them true to how they were at the time. It's a fascinating site and some fascinating stories that you can see here. That's why I really recommend you taking the time. You're going to be on this site for a couple of hours all in, exploring around and having a look at the places here. Really worthwhile doing it, a really interesting part of the Somme battlefields. And as you finish up here, you're probably going to be later into the afternoon. If you do have some more time, there's plenty of other little spots you can go to. Pick another one of the cemeteries, just go and have a walk around. Or just spend another bit of time driving around the roads or walking the land in the places that we've already been. But if you are on a tighter time scale, I imagine this probably will be bringing you towards the end of your 2 days touring the Somme battlefields. Hopefully this still gives you time to drive back up to Calais, get on your ferry, get on your train and head home. I hope you found this video really interesting. I hope this enables you to get the best of a 2-day tour around the Somme battlefields. I certainly would have found something like this interesting when I went out to the Somme for the first time. As well as my video, there's loads of other guides you can use as well. There's plenty of good guidebooks. There's other YouTube channels outside of mine. There's some podcasts you can check out. So I really recommend watch the videos, listen to the podcast, read the books before you go and tour the Somme. It just gives you more idea and helps you to get the best from your trip. If you did think that my video helped you to get the best from it, then do me a favour, hit the like button, subscribe if you haven't already, comment below, check out the other links in the description where you can support the channel if you would like to. Guys, thank you very much for watching, and I'm going to see you on the next one.